Chapter 1: The Radioactive Plate. The radio crackles in the corner, a jaunty swing tune riding the steam from a pot of potatoes. Morning light slips through the lace curtains and breaks into clean bands across the table. A mother sets down a plate the color of a ripe persimmon, then another, sunny yellow, sea green, cobalt, each one ringing lightly as it meets the wood. The children like to choose their colors. It feels modern to mix them. It feels hopeful. This is America in the late 1930s, and color itself seems like a promise. The dishes are fiesta-ware, new and affordable, designed to make everyday meals feel like a celebration. They are smooth, durable, and bold in a way that matches the moment, a country edging out of depression, hungry for brightness. No one at the table thinks about chemistry. No one needs to. The plates are doing their job, turning supper into something cheerful. What no one can see is the quiet shimmer locked into the glaze. How uranium came to the table. Fiesta ware was introduced in 1936 by the Homer Laughlin China Company in West Virginia. Among its original colors was a vivid red-orange achieved with uranium oxide, a compound prized by ceramicists for the intensity and stability of its hue. Uranium-based glazes had been used in glass and pottery since the 19th century. They were not exotic laboratory curiosities but established industrial materials. At the time, uranium was not publicly associated with danger. It was a pigment, a tool, a means to brightness. The amounts used in ceramic glazes were small, and no consumer warnings were required or expected. Then the world changed. Wartime silence. With the onset of World War II, uranium became strategically valuable. By 1942, the U.S. government tightly controlled its distribution for military and scientific purposes tied to nuclear research. As a result, Homer Laughlin discontinued the red Fiesta glaze during the war years, not because of health fears, but because uranium was no longer available for civilian manufacturing. Most Americans never knew why the red disappeared. Wartime secrecy demanded quiet compliance, not explanation. The plate simply vanished from the table. After the war, production resumed. When uranium-based glazes returned, they used depleted uranium, a byproduct of nuclear fuel processing with lower radioactivity than natural uranium. This version of the red remained in use until 1972, when changing regulations and consumer expectations led the company to permanently reformulate without uranium. Science catches up to the kitchen. By the mid-20th century, radiation was no longer an abstract concept. Atomic testing, medical research, and public education transformed nuclear science from a hidden field into a household word. At the same time, safety standards evolved. Studies showed that uranium-glazed ceramics emit low levels of radiation, primarily alpha particles that cannot penetrate skin and pose minimal risk unless ingested. Regulatory bodies concluded that normal use, serving food, washing dishes, did not expose consumers to harmful doses. Even so, increased caution, improved measurement tools, and a growing emphasis on consumer protection reshaped manufacturing norms. Uranium glazes became unnecessary. Color could be achieved other ways. The era of the radioactive plate quietly ended. Fear, folklore, and the glow. Decades later, collectors would hold Geiger counters over vintage dishes and hear the click-click of detection. Stories spread. Plates that poison, cabinets that glow, kitchens humming with invisible danger. The internet amplified the unease. What often gets lost is proportion. Yes, original red Fiesta ware is measurably radioactive. No, it does not glow in the dark. No, it does not irradiate a room or sicken a family through ordinary use. The levels are real, but low, and the risks were largely theoretical, not borne out by epidemiological evidence of harm to consumers. The fear is retrospective, shaped by what uranium came to represent after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, after fallout drills and mushroom clouds. We look back and project dread onto an object that once symbolized nothing more than optimism. Color as a time capsule. Back at the table, the children pass bread. The plates gleam. The radio hums. No one senses the future, the secrecy, the science, the recalibration of risk that will one day recast this cheerful design choice as a curiosity, even a cautionary tale. The Fiesta plate endures not because it was dangerous, but because it captures a moment when progress meant color, when chemistry meant convenience, and when the atom had not yet taught the world to be afraid. It was never just a dish. It was a mirror of its time.